Hi, I'm Callie, and welcome to the Dragon Horde. As it's New Year, I figured I could do an unboxing of something that people might be interested in for New Year. Now, this is the game night variant they did for 2022. It is 5 60-card decks within the box, designed for anywhere from 2 to 5 players, which it does actually state on the back, which I'll show you in a minute. The box itself has some shiny artwork on the front, which, as we all know with Wizzards and Magic, they do a remarkably good job of. On the back, you've got your usual taglines, you've got your precursor to what's in the box, and you've got your contents list, so your 5 decks, your 5 decks each with a new traditional foil card, so that's one shiny new card within each of the decks, which is the reason why people get interested in things like this. There are 5 spin down life counters, which is your spin down die, and I believe this is in the standard format, so there will be 60 cards, which would make sense, they're 60 card decks. So there may be some play sets within there, all the rest of it. There are life counter platforms, which I'd be interested to see like how that plays, because I don't necessarily think it's useful. 5 reference cards, which are the reference that you get in most bundles and big packs. 15 double-sided tokens, so that should be 3 in the back of each deck. 21 one counters and a rulebook. So if I just break into this slightly. We can open it up and see exactly what is in the box, because that's what these are all about. So on the bottom of the box, it does actually state 2 to 5 players, 30 minutes. So it's a pentagram box, which is going to be an absolute nightmare to store. This is the 3rd variant of this they've done. So there was one in 2018, one in 2019, and this one in 2022. So it wouldn't surprise me if we're due one in 2025, 2026. Rulebook, which, runs through all of the usual parts that you'd expect. A cardboard punch sheet, so this will be your 20 life counters, and I'm guessing these are the life platforms. Again, not necessarily understanding why this would be useful, but I'm an experienced player, so sometimes not all decisions make sense to me. And we have the 5 decks, the 5 spin down die in the 5 land colours, so I'm guessing these are monocolour decks, which is fairly nice. It's a shame that neither the 20 or the 1 have a special icon on them, which some of the spin downs do. I believe the spin down for the Foundation beginner box had a 5-pointed star on the 20. And let's go ahead and have a quick look at the white deck. So, glaring omission from the off is that these are designed to be stored in here without sleeves. It's all very nice, it's all very well packaged, but you can tell these are currently cellophane wrapped. These are not in sleeves, and they're perfectly designed to fit in how they are. So the moment you sleeve these decks, they're not going to fit anymore. And I can't get into this one. So let's just take that off camera. I've literally just freed that up. As per all decks, they've got the traditional Wizzards pull strip, which inevitably players forget about, which is always quite funny. So there's an overview card, which I'm guessing is the reference card they referred to. Yeah, because that runs through your turn. So you begin your phase, your combat, your phase, your end. And then... oh, it actually starts with the 3 double-sided tokens per deck. As this is white, I'm guessing this deck will use white soldier tokens. I'm guessing this is my foil, brand new foil for this deck only. Seraph of Steel, it's an angel, it's flying, it's all very pretty. And just running through this deck, I won't go through the others, just this one. Yeah, 2 Banisher Priests, so I would assume that somewhere in this deck we will have multiples and possibly up to 4 in some instances of some of these cards. Because a playset in Magic is up to 4 of the same card. I mean, so far in this deck I've seen only like 2s, and then we're down to the plains. So it looks, at least for the white deck, that they haven't done a full playset of anything in the deck. I would have to test this against these out with some friends, but it all looks like fairly well designed, fairly well managed. If you weren't going to sleeve your cards, this would be perfectly adequate. Potentially something you could just store on the shelf, albeit awkwardly, because star-shaped box isn't going to be the easiest thing to store. You could quite happily have this on a shelf with your other board games, so that when somebody goes, I haven't got my decks with me, but I really fancy a game of Magic, you could pull this out and go, well, it's not going to be like the most exciting, but at least we could have a game with this. And I imagine that it would be fairly well balanced, because these 5 decks have come together, and there wouldn't be anything massively overpowered or that you wouldn't want to play with. So it would give people opportunity to either learn the game, or at least play on a drunken Friday night when you're all done with work and it's like, I really fancy doing this, but I haven't got my decks with me, what can we do? I tend to have my Jumpstart Cube with me for that, but this I can imagine fulfilling the same sort of role. So, looks like a fairly good purchase, especially for the current price point of this, which I did get it on offer. I think this was less than 30 quid for 5 fully playable decks is pretty good going in Magic terms, so would recommend from what I've seen. We'll probably revisit this when I've actually had a chance to play it with some friends. So, it's been about a week since I filmed the initial opening of this. I've had a chance to sit and think about the good and the bad in regards to it. So, let's start with the bad. This moulded base. It's definitely not designed to hold these sleeved. Even just a handful of sleeved cards do not fit. They stand out, they're starting to compress top and bottom. You can even see here they're starting to bend even slightly, even with 3 sleeved cards. So, well, no, that's it for the bad in regards to this. If you don't want to sleeve your decks, they fit in absolutely fine. This one hasn't yet been opened, but the green deck that has been opened and played with fits absolutely fine. It holds the cards in place. with the lid on. They're not going to fall out, they're not going to get damaged. You could even store it on the shelf on its side. As a standalone product, this is very much something I would highly recommend for anybody who's got casual Magic players as friends, potentially even in the family. You could happily have this for a board game night for a family thing. I, for one, love the rulebook. I love the fact that it doesn't just give you a contents page and overviews everything in the box, but it goes as far as to break down each of the decks, give you a full card list. It also does a very decent overview for how to play a round of Magic, and one of my absolute favourite things that it does is, where is it? At the back, gives you a glossary of terms. So all of your keywords, your evergreen terms that people may or may not know, like Double Strike, Defender, Death Touch, they're all listed in here to give you a decent overview of how things are done. One of the things I will say about this specific printing is where this is now technically an older copy of the rules. This was printed, I think, in 2022. November 2024, there was actually a rule change which makes some of the text in here actually slightly incorrect. It's to do with how attacking and blockers are assigned and how damage is done. You can forgive an older piece of literature that being true to its time but not being true to the rules now. However, given this is very much a standalone product that you can just pick up off the shelf and play, if everybody at the table agrees to play by the older rules, then that's absolutely fine. It's not like you're going onto the Magic Pro circuit and going, oh, I don't want to play by the current rules. So if you do want to play by the rules as written in the book for the decks you've got, that's fine. As a whole, this is a remarkably well-balanced set of cards, well thought out. I actually really like the fact that the moulding is specifically designed for the life counter die. There's spaces for your life platforms, I think they're called these. There's space underneath there for your counters. It's all very, very well designed. However, in saying all of that, I am the type of player that wants to have my cards sleeved. As such, it's a bit of a deal breaker for me that this particular plastic moulding cannot contain sleeved cards. However, it's a nice box, it's a bit of an awkward shape, but there are a couple of different ways to skin the cat. So if you wanted to, you could take out the plastic moulding and you could get a deck box from your local game store, and you could quite easily store a couple of these in here with your decks. You could stack them that way, and as a whole, they're not going to stick out too much, just the standard size, so you could quite easily do that. Or, if you're like me, you can 3D print holders for them. This is why a lot of the cards were missing as I opened that. My blue deck, my white deck, my black deck, which is in the card box, are all sleeved up. They've been played with. This is how I know it's a balanced set of decks. The only one I haven't opened is the red, because I have a lot of friends who are actually red players, so we all agreed that we wouldn't fight over who got to play red, and we'd all try something else out. Which is the other beauty of this. If you are regularly a red player or a red-green player, or a blue-black player, you can pick up the white deck and go, well, actually, let's see how this plays. It's very, very nicely done. For this product as a whole, I would highly recommend it. For everyone from new players to veteran players. Having this just sitting on your shelf with your board games when it's nobody can sit there and decide like who wants to play what. You could play a round or a game of this, pick the winner, and then decide like what game you want to play from that. A lot of people know the rules to Magic, and if you have a lot of players in your friendship group, having something like this to draw on when you've gone round to a mate's and you don't have your Magic decks with you, or you're still waiting on somebody to turn up for the like game night that you're doing, you could easily get a game or two of this in while you're waiting for somebody. So would I recommend it? Yes, I would.